Hi there folks, my name's Kenny and this here is a quick review of the Intova HD SP1 video camera. Now I use this exclusively so far anyway as an underwater camera. I bought it from Simply Scuba for less than £190 and I thought I'd better do a quick review just to let people know, because there wasn't a lot of information on this camera when I bought it. I bought it more on because I was rushed than anything else. So here it is. As you can see, it's very similar to the GoPros and a couple of other types of cameras, the new Sonys and stuff. It's a little compact, tough, waterproof, full HD video camera. It does 1080p as well as 720, and this one also takes stills, quite good stills. It does an interpolated 12 megapixels. It's okay, fine for the still camera as well. Now, I bought this to use for scuba diving. It's waterproof to about 60 meters, no problem to use at all. It actually floats if you let it go, so it comes with this little strap, lets you put it on your wrist. Weighs nothing anyway, it's very light, easy to use, pretty tough even though it's banging about when you're swimming around or getting back in and out the boat. Not a problem at all, stood up well. The only problem I had was I lost the lens cap almost immediately, because I had nowhere to put it when I was 30 meters down, because I'm an idiot. Not to worry. Now, quality wise, it's as good as your GoPros. It's full HD, 1080p, no problem at all, looks lovely. It's got 140-degree field of view, so it's quite wide angle, so you get a bit of distortion at the edges, a bit of barrel distortion, but that, well, pincushion distortion. It's nothing that you would worry about. It still looks great, and you can crop it down if you're taking 1080p anyway. The several pluses with this over the GoPros, in fact. For one, it's much cheaper. If you're looking 190 quid for this, that's it. You can use it underwater straight away, no problem at all. The GoPros, the older GoPros, are £200. The newer ones are £300. They take no higher resolution video than this does. And you also then have to spend an extra 50 quid buying a dive housing, because the GoPro has a domed front to its casing, which doesn't really work underwater. It's pretty poor underwater. They recommend you buy the dive housing at an extra 50 of your earth pounds, which I didn't want to do. I'd rather spend £190 than £350 and get the same quality video. Another plus is this has actually more controls, more settings. Things like white balance when you're taking photos, which is great if you're a photographer. You'll know what white balance is. It lets you get rid of certain colour casts and things like that. That's great. So if you take a white slate with you underwater, you can shoot and you're fine. The camera doesn't have to be used underwater, obviously. It works just like a GoPro. You can take it anywhere, you can nail it to the front of your car and go screaming around with the cops, whatever. In fact, again, another plus over the GoPro, it uses the standard 1/4-inch jack, the screw mount from most tripods. So you can stick this on almost any available accessory there is. You don't get anything with it when you buy it, since it is relatively cheap. You get the lanyard and a couple of cables to charge it, and that's it. You don't get any mounts or anything special. There are lots of mounts available, though, and Intova make mounts for all sorts of applications, same as GoPro. Now, as for video quality, I'll link to a couple of videos so that you can look. You'll see the quality, it's very nice. The problem with the water was actually because the hurricane had just passed through and it's quite murky. But you can see the actual video itself is fine, it's clear, it's sharp, no problem at all. These things take the micro SD, tiny SD slot. I can open it up. There's a tiny SD slot here, takes a micro card. Dirt cheap relatively. I bought one off eBuyer. 32GB card was £14, came the next day. Slot it in here and I've got more than enough memory storage capacity. I didn't have to do a thing for 2 weeks. I shot video over the course of 2 weeks. I did like 14-15 dives, no problem at all, taking bits of video in and out all the time. I never got anywhere near filling that card up. Battery life was well over 2.5 hours easy in the warm waters of the Caribbean. I don't know what it'd be like freezing your ass off at Scapa Flow, since cold affects the batteries, but more than enough for me doing 2-hour-long dives a day. Plenty. I think I only charged the thing up twice, and that was mainly because I was watching the little screen on the back all the time in the hotel room. And it does have a little screen on the back, same as the GoPro. Let me power it on here. You'll see there's a little screen there. Now it's kind of hard to see. You're not going to be doing a lot with the screen. but it is enough for framing your shot when you're underwater. It's not a problem at all. Lets you see it in a sort of thumbnail format, and you can take your picture or take your video, and you know your subject's in the frame. It does the stills. It's very easy to operate. Large button here, start, stop, or take the picture. The next one is the power. There are a lot of buttons here for menu items, things like that, turning the screen on and off, things like that, changing the settings and the white balance. Kind of difficult to press if you've got gloves on. I was wearing 5mm scuba gloves. Difficult to press these. They're quite stiff because they're waterproof. It's very tough to press through the coating. So it doesn't really matter because I don't really use them underwater. I was setting it to video or photo when I was up on the surface, and then off I went. Never had an issue. If you're not using gloves in the warmer waters, it's not a problem. You just know you have to press it a bit harder. In fact, this was so good that the underwater photographer who I was working with went and ordered one himself. He ended up having to borrow this because his £1,100 dive casing that he was using on his video camera kept having problems. The remote control kept failing, it started to leak. He was having battery issues, all these kind of things. He ended up borrowing this from me for a few days to do shots that he needed to do. And he loved it so much he went and ordered one himself. He couldn't believe the price. So there's a recommendation for you as well. Everybody that saw this camera was well impressed. And for like half the price of a GoPro and a housing, why the hell not? I certainly bought it. I think you should too. It's excellent value for money for your scuba diver, and indeed for anything else where you would normally use a GoPro. This thing will do the same and more. So there you go. That's the Intova HD SP1. I would recommend it. No problem at all. Thanks.